on June the 24th, 2014. I'm going to start us off and ask Commissioner Jakes if he would give us an invitation, and we'll stand, please, and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Let's stand. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this day. God, we thank you for the freedom that you've allowed us to have. God, I pray for our military personnel, both here and abroad. God, I pray that your hand would be upon them. God, I pray for our leadership in this country, God, that you would give them divine wisdom to know how to deal with the many issues that are facing our country. Father, I pray for our county. I pray for our businesses, our school system, our churches, and our families. God, I pray that you'd touch and protect us. I pray you'd put a hedge of protection about us. I pray that you'd meet our financial needs. I pray that you'd give us wisdom and leadership and guidance in every issue that we have to deal with tonight. God, we may give you the praise and the honor and glory for all that you've done and all that you're going to do. In the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Getting into items to be discussed, the first thing I'd like to do is to amend the agenda, and I'd like to add it down to right below K, between K and L. And I'd like to put on the agenda to advertisement of the digest numbers after item K is pointed out. We need to take action on that so our tax commissioner can advertise the digest numbers. So if you will put that between those two line items, please. All right, let's move into public comments. Work session under A. Do I have any citizens want to make any public comment? Yes, sir.
I'm James Daughtry, and I live over at 816 Red Hill Road. 2 years ago, I came, y'all just taken office, and I asked y'all about a little work on Red Hill Road. Y'all was wonderful. You scraped it twice in 2 years. And the canopy over the road, the trees growing out into the road. Now, somebody did come by and squirt some Roundup, but it didn't kill. I could have killed more with a squirt bottle than what they killed.
Okay.
And we asked about why it is the road. And I'd like to know, what is the right of way on the road? How wide is it?
Basically, we maintain the ditch on most of it. Make it very,
To my knowledge, on Red Hill Road, we don't actually have any dedicated right-of-way. So, Mr. Chairman is right. Our maintenance responsibility would actually be back of ditch to back of ditch.
So we're going to be forced to be with a one-lane road, basically.
That's what we got.
well, that would require a considerable amount of undertaking, which possibility could do it. But when you go in and widen the road, it affects all the property owners that has property touching that road. And what you run up on, a lot of cases is individuals don't want to give up any additional property to widen the road. But, you know, that could be possible if everybody on the road that has land that touches that road be willing to give an easement over to the county, deeding it over to the county, so to speak. Yes, sir.
Well, that's fine, but that doesn't have one thing to do with scraping and maintaining the road and trimming the trees. I'm curious about why the road is basically a one lane road.
Yes.
Because we live on it, we pay taxes, we have no children in school, we don't have any water from the county. So it looks like y'all could at least scrape the road and clear the trees from hanging out into the road and down on the road.
Yes, sir. We can do that, and Let me ask you if you would correspond with our manager. He corresponds with our road crew, and we strive very hard to make sure that all roads are kept in top-notch condition. For instance, gravel, scrape, and we do spray to kill the foliage back, and then we have a bush hog arm to come.
Bush hog hadn't been
It
there.
hasn't been there, and another thing,
Let me finish first. Robert comes up and down the road quite a bit. You ask Robert, is the road maintained now?
Well,
Let me throw in something here. Where their driveway is, her brother lives in a house, a sharp curve. They offered to give land to get the road moved, out of a sharp curve. Well, when it got down on the other end, where it needed to go back, line up with the road, the land belonged to somebody else. So it's just like you said, they didn't want to give up nothing.
I understand it, nobody wants to give up their property, and that's fine. I
But
was
that
just
would work
curious,
fine if we
it's
just got the
just,
curve.
a lot of roads are 18 foot either way from the center of the road. But if that's not the case, then I understand that. But I'm still curious we didn't have any bush hog come down our road, but I rode up Crenshaw, and I rode up Stagecoach, and I rode up quite a few of the roads, and they did. And I was just curious as why we didn't.
well, we have 200 plus miles of dirt road, and I'm hoping it's coming your way. So we'll ask Mr. Phillips if he'll check and see how long it'll be before it's.
Do you live in the section between Hunters Creek and Burnett, or the section that's back east on the other side of Burnett?
We're from Farmers Academy to the creek.
Okay.
Certainly look into that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
We live on Fairview Farms, and Mr. Strickland has been in the past, when he first came on, it was maintained, but it's slowing down. But my biggest concern is that you turn off Fairview and go onto our road, that's where the guys always park the equipment. Well, the weeds there are growing up and around the telephone post and out, and I can't even see to turn left unless I nose out into the road a little bit. And it's never been like that before, so I was wondering if they could address that. And we really do need our road done again.
Well, thank you very much. I would encourage any public citizen that we have in the county that has a situation to call our county manager's office. He is constantly talking with the road crew, and we address those items hopefully pretty fast.
Do you have a phone number that you could shoot out to me now?
706-384-2483.
2483.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Only one. Since we're talking about roads, I just want to put my bid in again for you to consider my 10, 12-year effort to get my road paved.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Have you gotten the appropriate easement right of way?
Have you gotten the appropriate right-of-way easement? Have you gotten the?
Oh my, yes, it's all done.
Okay.
I've been waiting about 8 years now since that was done.
Yes. Let's move into the B section here. And it's my privilege, Raymond Fitzpatrick, come forward. This is a new county extension agent taking over Ricky Jones' position. We want to welcome you to Franklin County and see if you have any words for us.
My office is open. I officially start Tuesday, so I've still got a little time before I'm official. If I do anything for any homeowners or farmers, I have the best job in the county because I do get to go out and work with the farmers, and I also get to still work with young people. My background is in education. I've been an agriculture teacher for the last 4 years, and then had the opportunity to come in and work in extension, to come home and work with cooperative extension. I've spent the day-to-day out tagging students' show goats, so it's been a fun day, a busy day. I've got that started. We'll be around to work with the young people, but that's only a portion of what I do. So if I can do anything for any of you guys, or if you have any questions of me, feel free to let me know. I do want to let you know what's going on with the extension program, the 4-H programs, and to be quite honest with you right now, I can't do that because I don't know yet. I haven't really got started. Like I said, I don't officially start until next week in that official capacity, but if y'all have any questions of me now, be glad to answer them. And if not, as y'all do, feel free to let me know.
Have you got a cell number?
I did.
Can I get that, please?
706-244-9618.
And you know what the office number is over there, that 341 there?
Not right off the top of my head. So it's in my phone and I left it in the truck.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Glad
you.
to have you.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Well,
Appreciate it. I got to look at a fancy new bull over in Bold Springs this afternoon.
okay,
So, I was tagged your grandchildren's
okay.
show games, so that was part of my day. So.
Yes, sir.
That's rewarding.
Yeah.
And I believe that office number, Commissioner Strickland, is 384-2843. Very similar to our number, but
Just pretty close.
Right.
2-8.
right.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, sir. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from here. I'm from Livonia. I'll give you a quick background. I grew up in Livonia, came up through the 4-H and FFA programs here in Franklin County, went to Emmanuel College for 2 years, transferred, as I was, at the same time I was a state FFA officer. Went from that to the university, finished my bachelor's at the university, started teaching at Appalachian High School in Barrett County. And then I too fell in love and married a beautiful young lady who just happens to work at Clemson. So that got me moved back home. So I was driving from here to Clemson, she was driving from here to Clemson. I was driving from Livonia to Winder every morning, about 72 miles from driveway to driveway. And so the opportunity just presented itself, and I ran with it. So
You jumped in.
I jumped in feet first. So.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, the C item on our agenda is Sunrise North, and understanding it was tabled in our last section. You have the information in your pack about this particular situation. Basically, what I'd like to say is for us to come to a decision with a motion what to do with it at our regular monthly meeting, and act upon that and what that may be. So we'll ask all the commissioners to look closely at that situation and determine what direction they would like to go. Any comments?
Can I say?
So we'll consider taking that then. Did you have a comment about that, Pam?
Yes, I have, I went across, the damage, the disaster is across from 169 Sunrise Villa. I took 5 pictures. I have them in my car.
Okay.
And one is a horrendous bird's eye picture. I even took it to one of the newspapers, and they said, oh my Lord, I didn't know it was this bad. These people will be dead before these trees are rebuilt. These people basically own the county. They're troopers. High dollar houses and lakefront property. You ask anybody how much tax money this county gets from those people, and you ought to see the disaster. And that is not their property. I don't know if that scam man hit this blessed man here with a scam tactic, or another cafe risque dude, or dirt track dude, or whatever, but he did this man in, and now he's getting the finger pointed at him, And everybody's saying, well, Phillips made a mistake, he needs to right the wrong, do unto others as you have them do unto you. I agree with that. This needs to be really highly looked at it. And the reason I'm telling you this is out of love. Because they're willing to give you a chance to right the wrong. But I'm going to tell you, and one of the commissioners, and I'm not going to name the name, asked me, did I think that Sunrise would file suit if this is not taken care of? Yes, I do. And I would be, if I had bought into Sunrise, I would be the first to file. And I'm sorry, I love my county, but what they've done to that Sunrise Villa, and it wasn't even, it was Sunrise Villa property. That guy didn't own that property. Sunrise Villa residents owned it.
Okay, we understand the issue, and we will.
It's a big issue.
Yeah,
Bridges, it's a
we
big
understand the issue, and we'll be addressing that issue at our next, regular session.
Just for clarification, the trees that were cut were on county property. The trees that were cut were on county property, is that not?
No, that's not,
The
that's
biggest
not true.
majority of them were on the right of way, but there was a handful of them down
A
that 1
handful.
foot stretch that's probably about 50 or so feet. The biggest one was on the 1 foot thing.
But that's not the question, the
Right.
issue here.
No, that's not the question.
So the issue is,
These trees that were cut, the big ones, were Sunrise Villa owners.
Well, they can certainly
Or can't they
do
put
what they
mature
want
trees
to on their property.
yeah,
Well,
that's,
well, okay, go ahead. Do
but
what you
we're
wanna do.
going to deal with it.
But if you don't deal, they're gonna deal with you by an attorney. You're gonna go into legal arbitration.
They're gonna sue the county for
I'm
cutting trees
sure
on
they
their own
will,
property.
yeah. Because Gilbert, Gilbert, I've known him since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. He's a developer, and I've got his phone number, and so does the rest of the crew.
All right, we can discuss it between now and, our next
But
meeting.
we really need to right the wrong, because the county, whether it's manager, I'm not gonna say it's a manager, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna hold the county accountable for this. And we need to right the wrong.
Okay.
Because if it was done to you, Chairman Bridges, and any of the commissioners, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Would
The thing
you
about
want?
it is, that 1 foot that they claim is theirs, this board has nothing to do with that.
Well, somebody better get a
They can
legal
have-
person in there like Bubba
We don't
Samuel.
tell them what to do on that 1 foot, and this board has nothing to do with that 1 foot. Where they cut it, that's between them.
Who, Sunrise?
Sunrise, they claim that they own it, so this board has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but the county came and took away the tree.
Well,
The county
the
didn't
county
You
gave
authorized a private
You gave
property owner.
permission. I've
to
seen,
cut,
I've seen,
and
I've seen the letter.
Okay, and I'll say this, that at the time that the presentation was made to the county was not aware that there was a 1 foot strip of property, AKA a buffer,
Big one.
delineating the property owner that wanted to cut the trees on the right of way and the county right of way.
Sir, that's
Which-
not a property owner. He's way out in the bushes.
Well, to me,
He
whether
is
it
not
was-
a Sunrise
whether-
Villa property owner.
Whether it was 1
He
foot.
lied to you.
Okay. The county at that time based their decision not knowing, they thought that the right-of-way was contiguous with the property. The 1 foot buffer, it's very evident from an extensive survey background, was put there to stop ingress and egress from adjacent properties, as well as delineate the county right-of-way and Sunrise Villa from that property. That being said, if the same scenario were to basically happen again today, I don't think that county staff would allow the property owner to remove the trees from the right-of-way because his property was not contiguous with county right-of-way. It is therefore that I am in concurrence with the residents to be able to go back and establish vegetation in the areas that was removed.
And the tree.
And whose oversight was that?
Okay, I want to be
You said you
clear.
wanted.
Apparently it was the county manager.
I want to be clear, John did absolutely nothing wrong.
Exactly.
The county has the right to cut any trees that the county owns or give permission. It's just like if you own property. We can't tell you what to cut and what not to cut. Therefore, the county has the right. John did absolutely nothing wrong. Even, and I agree with Jeff, if we had known, or if John had known the 1 foot buffer was there, it might have been a different decision. But saying that, even if the buffer was there, the county has the right to cut or to allow trees to be cut on county property. Now, I am concurrent with Jeff that the Sunrise Villa people can put vegetation back. Okay? But it is not when it comes to a legal action, they won't have a boat to float because it is no different. What if somebody came to you and you had cut trees on your property and they sued you for cutting trees on your property? It's just not, it doesn't make sense.
You know, in
I don't think
response to
y'all
their
are
request,
aware
I'm
of
in
the real
concurrence and in
situation.
favor, and will make the motion to allow them to commence with the work as they propose. That is where I stand on
Well,
this.
that's what they asked for.
That's what they asked for.
And that's,
Right, but I just want to be clear that the county and John did absolutely nothing wrong.
Thank
yeah,
you.
and
The
I,
decision, if we'd have known, or if he'd have known the buffer was there, he might have made a different decision, but even if he hadn't have,
Okay.
it's still the
It doesn't
county.
make a difference.
It
It's
doesn't
still
make a
county property.
difference. He
Then
didn't
why'd
do
you say
his homework.
Even if he had known.
What if he didn't, why didn't he know, Clint?
Ms. Pat, we got a tax commissioner back here.
Just, gentlemen, we're here for a commissioners meeting. The public comment section is over. We're through the public hearing. We want to hear you guys conduct county business. You're elected for that purpose. I think it's inappropriate for members of the public to be speaking at this time. That's just from my perspective.
Let's move on to the next item. The Chandler Place Drive. We had Ms. Chandler come before us and ask for us to adopt that road from ditch to ditch. A request for the commissioners to maybe commit to accepting the maintenance of the responsibility of that drive, contingent upon the donation of the permanent right-of-way of all the people that live on that road from back of the ditch to the back of the ditch and throughout the roadway. So, Commissioners, be prepared at our next official meeting to decide if we're going to submit a letter of contingent for her to get out and get that information for us so we can proceed. Any comment?
just one point of clarification, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if we could coin it as right-of-way because it's actually going to be a permanent easement.
That's correct.
Just from ditch to ditch, provided that the board is in concurrence with that request.
That's correct. From ditch to ditch.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next item is the LaCroix building, which is up here at the end of 145, Second. On that particular building, we've been dealing with it now for a considerable length of time. We've asked Justin from the insurance company to come out and look at the building. And each of you commissioners, you have a considerable number of photos of the structure. So at our next regular meeting, I would ask that we be prepared to make a decision on Ms. Licklewood building. Commissioners, you have any questions about that?
I went out and took a look at it. I've got a few questions. There's a gas tank, a propane tank that is behind the building, and I was wondering, is that propane tank on Miss LaCroix's property?
I bet she could answer that. Is that propane tank on your property, Ms. Licklewood?
As far as I know, I'm not sure where that line is, Chairman Bridges. But to my knowledge, there was one there before So I just assumed, you know, they put it back in the area where the other one was.
I'm just trying to get a grasp, because if the propane tank is on Miss Leroy's property, the pecan tree is also on her property.
Okay.
And in looking at the building, I'm not completely understanding how you come to the conclusion that the trees cause any damage to the building. I looked at the root structure, there's no root damage. The mold do you remember the last time that building was painted?
It was before my husband passed away, and that would be 4 years, so it was a year before that. He always kept his building up.
And are you aware, in every drip place that we see in these pictures, is coming from the gutter system of the building that is coming off the roof? Did you recently have roof work done?
Had it checked after all the tree limbs and leaves piled up on top of it and stopped up the drain line that ruined the room inside that I did not ask any damage for.
And there's also cracks that we're showing, that we've showed pictures toward. There's cracks in the building, but the weird thing about it, in the pictures, and also I'll look for these cracks, they're in the front, where the trees are on the opposite side of the building, so there's no way that there could possibly be any damage to the building on the front. I've been in the tree business a long time. I don't see why this is even an issue. You have mold. I built a house, and on the north side you have mold and mildew that comes up. This is the north side, and there's just questions that I'm concerned that the county don't even own the trees that are in question. If the county does own the trees that's in question, the propane tank is on county property.
Chairman Bridges now.
Yes, ma'am. Come, Ms. Leroy.
I hope I don't appear to be a smart aleck. That's not my intention. But facts are that my husband, when Farm Bureau office was there, tried for years to get the county to prune those trees to get the limbs off of the building. Now, the limbs came all the way over on the building. And the leaves, every year, when the leaves shed, fell on top of the roof. And guess who cleaned that off? My husband climbed the ladder and got up there and cleaned all of it off. But lately, when they did finally get around to pruning the trees, they left limbs and leaves on it and stopped up the drain line. And this caused the water to go down in one of the rooms and ruin the sheetrock in the room. I did not turn this in for any help, but I do expect some help. I was asked to get 3 bids. I got 3 bids from reputable painters here, and they were all pretty much the same. And Mr. Reed had a gentleman to come out of Atlanta and give a bid on the building, on the painting. And his bid was more than the ones that I turned in. And as far as painting 2 sides of it, there's not a person in this room that would like to paint 2 sides of a building and leave the rest of it. And as far as the cracks are concerned, my husband got material out of Chattanooga, Tennessee to repair those cracks before it was painted the last time. And I realize that this stain on the side next to Ralston from the moisture that comes down from the air conditioning. But that has nothing to do with the leaves and the limbs and the trees that were there. And this has been going on for years. It hasn't just happened. But he's not here to take care of it, and I feel like it's my obligation to take care of it in his place. And I would appreciate any help that you can give us, Mr. Chairman Bridges and members of the board. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you.
John, who trimmed those trees?
I believe it was Scott Brothers.
They are the most professional company that I've ever known. They do quality work, and so I know that they would not leave limbs on top of a building. They wouldn't even get limbs on the building because it's just a top quality outfit.
Okay. Let's move to the next item. Langford Road improvement bid. Lakeside County Manager getting a $100,000 grant towards that project. That's going to save the taxpayers money where we expended that. Ms. Phillips, would you make a report on that?
Yes, sir, I'll be glad to. As you know, this project is actually being done as a result of the Caltex expansion over on Highway 17. The project will actually widen the existing roadway out to two 12-foot travel lanes to allow the truck traffic access to their new expansion. We received bids on June 19th. We actually had 3 bids. Hopefully you've all had a chance to take a look at the bid results, and as you can see, the low bid was submitted by Stratton & Sons Construction in the amount of $31,425.95. As Chairman Bridges stated, we will receive funding for this project from the Georgia Department of Transportation, actually be 70% of the project cost. So I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have regarding the project.
Thank you for that report. We have a bid list there and recommendation from the county commissioner, manager, so we will basically deal with this in our next regular meeting. Next on our list is appointment to the Franklin County Defense Board. Mr. Phillips, do we have any interest in that position?
Yes, sir, we actually did. The term of Marie Loftus actually expires on June 30th. We've actually advertised the position and had a total of 4 applications for the position, one of which is Marie Loftus, who would like to serve an additional term on the board. And the Department of Family and Children's Services has actually requested they would like to see Ms. Loftus serve another term in that position.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that report. So we will be in position then to make a motion and approve that opening that we have at defense. Next item is H. We're talking about the Flower 2014 budget amendment that we have before us here. Basically, it is required, I understand, from a legal standpoint, that we have a approval amendment to the monies that we spend. In this situation, we have $600,000 from the Sheriff's Department, which would require us to amend that budget. Any comments, Ms. Phillips, about that?
I think you pretty well summarized it, Chairman Bridges. As you know, basically, once we set the budget for each department, we have some latitude as far as moving funds within the department. But when the overall department budget is exceeded, then we do actually need to move forward. And as was requested at the last meeting, what staff has done is actually prepared a proposed budget amendment
the sheriff's department.
Okay, so in order that we can go into any additional discussion, I'd ask Commissioner, anyone make a motion to accept this amendment to our budget?
I'd like, do I need to wait till after a second prior to discussion, Mr. Chairman? Since this is a work session, but I didn't know because you're kind of integrating. I'll wait and see if there's.
But specifically, it's got to be dealt with tonight from the
Understand.
standpoint of the deadline coming up July the
Understand.
first. So that's why we are going to take some votes tonight, which is unusual, but we got to do it because of the deadline.
Okay.
So what I'm asking for is a motion that we amend our budget in this situation.
Well, I make a motion to amend the budget just to get into the second and have discussion.
Good, good. Now we got a motion. I need a second. I'll second that. Commissioner Strickland makes a motion that we do that. I second that from the chair. Now open for discussion.
I'll be glad to start the discussion, and, I'll be straightforward. I will not be voting for this amendment, and I want to be very specific live, because earlier in the year, when I started noting the overage in the sheriff's department's budget, I contacted members of the sheriff's office and staff. I notified my colleagues on the board of my findings. I notified county staff of the same. I went and had a meeting with the sheriff's department staff, and I'd say we probably spent 2.5 hours going over the budget, line item by line item, looking at areas where there was overages. I expressed at that point in time the definitive need for the budget to be amended. My specific statement was that, look, I don't know if we can do anything about what has been spent up until the date of our meeting, but we need to amend this budget. I will do so if the sheriff's office defines a specific plan in which to recover the overage in the remainder of the year. And after request from sheriff's office staff, request and notifications from my colleagues on the board, as well as county staff, that has not been done. I tried to circumvent us even having this discussion tonight by addressing it earlier in the year. So no action was taken, so I will not be voting in favor of this budget amendment. And, Jimmy is here. Jimmy was part of that meeting, and I would ask if there's anything that I just stated that was incorrect, please, for the public record, clarify.
You referring to what was spent, Mr. Jackson?
Well, I'm referring to...
I think the meeting, we'd already spent it.
That is correct. And my statement was there was nothing we could do up to that point. But from that point forward, we could come up with a definitive plan, approach the board about an amendment to the budget, and have a specifically defined recovery plan to get us back on track, knowing that we could not, in the remainder of time, get back under the budget, but we could sure make significant strides in reducing the overage.
I don't think there was any discussion about amending the budget.
Well, okay.
The legality here, if I understand it from my attorney, that we need to amend it, and I believe you agree with that.
Absolutely. I'm the one that has forced
to
this
make
issue.
sure it's a forced issue, and that's some of the things that we're putting in place in 2015 budget, so we don't get in this particular situation tonight. So any other discussion before we vote? Yes, sir.
Just a point of order here. Mr. Jakes, did you and I have any conversations about the jail operation?
We have had conversations.
During this meeting?
No, sir, you were not present.
I don't have a clue what you're referring to.
Okay, well, your sheriff does, because he was also in attendance.
Okay, I'm just saying. You said
And-
jail, you said staff.
Okay.
All right.
Well, the sheriff was in attendance.
Okay, all right.
And each line item in the sheriff's department's budget was discussed, inclusive of the jail.
Okay.
I ask any other commissioners that you have any discussion before we vote? We have a motion to amend the budget that's required for us to do, and we have a second.
Can I ask one other question? I'm sorry if we do.
Sure, you can.
We have this, and then we're gonna have another meeting Monday morning at 8, is that correct, at the Commissioner's office?
That's to approve the budget.
That's to approve the
Two
budget.
separate issues.
There's two separate.
This isn't a budget amendment for this year's budget specifically dealing with the sheriff's department's overage. Has nothing to do with the 15 budget.
Okay, so then with that, then just a question, being you, what happens if it doesn't get amended? Just,
I
so I don't know,
asked that question also.
I'm just asking, because
I-
I have no problem with $600,000 over and and not being counted.
I had not made every effort
And
with
you
my
know-
limited knowledge to circumvent us dealing with this tonight. I would have to vote in favor of it procedurally, but
In consulting, Mr. Phillips and Michael Ragg, we pretty much are forced to amend it legally.
Again, the way the budget process works is if money is to be transferred from one line item to another line item as far as outside of department, technically, this Board of Commission should approve that transfer of funds.
Right.
So, in essence, everything that you've heard is correct. That transfer really has occurred throughout this fiscal year. So, technically, this board should approve that taking place.
Thank you, sir. I want to ask for a vote then. We have,
And technically. So let's say that it doesn't.
Right.
Because I'm in concurrence with Commissioner Jakes and all. I think if we do, because $600,000 is pretty darn close to a millage rate.
that equates to 1 mil plus or minus.
Okay, I'm just saying, and spending, because I know when we had budget hearings last year, being new, that we had a budget of X amount of dollars, and I know that the sheriff came to us wanting to hire 2 more people. And basically, we did not approve that, but yet he went ahead to hire them anyway. Okay? If I'm correct, just if I'm wrong, tell me, but I think that's what happened. He wanted to hire an investigator and another parole officer, not parole, but I'm sorry, maybe a trooper or something, a deputy. And then we discussed there was maybe 2 other, as far as the schools, because of the happening up in Connecticut at that time. And we do want our schools to be safe, but we can't stop crime from happening before it does. All we can do is, like I say, investigate it afterwards. And with that, we pretty much came in here, and this is a budget, and you have to stay within it. And and I know we have a problem with the software, with everything that last year it seemed like it could go wrong with Murphy's Law. Gosh, but in doing so, it's $600,000 that's owed. It's not $60,000. It's $600,000, and that's taxpayers' dollars. And I just want to know, as far as, because I just, and agree with Commissioner Jakes, I just couldn't see as far as voting forward, moving that money when we knew that we were trying to, with our health insurance, trying to accommodate kill 2 birds with 1 stone with saving money on our health insurance, because that was $195,000 in savings, which would be able to be in a fund that would help us be in control of future health cost premiums, so we wouldn't have the 25% increase, if I'm not mistaken, about what it's going to run this time.
okay.
I can't vote for it because this board did wrong. We spent money without amending the budget. That is a wrong thing to do. And there has been no accountability of where the money has gone, where it's spent, and I can't in good conscience vote for it. It's not going to change anything. The money's been spent. It's not going to change anything.
You are correct. We can't go back and have whether 600,000 went, we can't go back and retrieve it. where it needs to be. Any other discussion?
I'm not happy about it at all.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so, all in favor of amending the budget? And, please signify by raising your right hand. So, I see nobody in favor, so therefore we will consult what direction to go legally to see what we need to do. Let's move on to the next item. Approval of the first reading of the FY 2015 budget resolution. We're going to ask Mr. Jakes, Commissioner Jakes, if you would care to make an amendment to that resolution.
Okay, I'll be glad to make a motion that would be consistent with what I had proposed to the board during our public comment, if that's what you're referencing.
That's good.
Okay. I would make a motion that we adopt the budget as advertised as far as the dollar amount and as far as the millage. However, the one change that I would recommend is that the sheriff's office proposed budget of $3,789,403.30 be transitioned back to the approved budget of what was allocated in 2014 in the amount of $3,244,092.02. And I do not know if this needs to be part and parcel of the motion. I know that this budget allocation does not include increased insurance. I know it does not include the cost of living and other incidental items. And I will be the first, if this budget is adopted with this change, be ready to amend their budget to increase or include an amendment with the additional personnel cost. I just don't have that information tonight, but would be willing in our July meeting to amend the budget as would be appropriate to include those items which there is an increase in the expense and the differential in the 3.7 million to 3.2 million be transitioned into the contingency fund. So that would be my motion as per my recommendation during the public hearing. But I would defer to my colleagues for other comments, since you asked for that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that motion to do it in that respective manner. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Strickland. Any discussion?
I want to be clear on how much money is going to be put into the contingency fund. Is it the 603?
That's what is the difference between this amount, 3.7 million and 3.2 million.
So a little over $603,000.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. And that will be put in a line item contingency fund, not specified for the sheriff, but just for a general contingency fund, correct?
That is my understanding of the motion.
That is my motion.
It would be an additional line item for this year's budget, which would be a contingency line item for that $600,000.
But I do want to predicate that I do anticipate there being a budget amendment in July for the additional personnel costs that were not included in the 14 budget. And I would anticipate, if this motion passes, that happens in July. And if additional expenditures, whether it's for housing out detainees, personnel, vehicles, equipment, other needs, then, this board, I'm sure, will be open and receptive to reviewing amendments throughout the year, as well as with other departments.
Any other discussion about the proposed recommendation? All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. 5-4. Next item on the list is the contingent defense agreement that we have. This is an agreement with the Circuit Public Defender's Office of North Judicial Circuit and the governing authority of each county. And this is an agreement that Elbert, Franklin, Hart, Madison, and Oglethorpe County joins in on the amount of funds that we provide for this defense agreement. Basically, we need to go ahead and approve and execute this to be in our budget for next year. Do I have a motion that we move forward with this tonight?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Jakes. Second by Commissioner Strickland. Any discussion?
Have we had our attorney to review this?
I understand.
Yes, he has. He's reviewed the document and recommends approval.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
What is
No,
that?
you can't, not at this point. Not at this point. Bobby just told you, no
I
public
thought
comment.
we could.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
You asking what we're fixing to vote on, right?
I just want to know what it is what is the indigent defense agreement?
Okay, 5 counties going together for the circuit public defenders. Certain people have to have public defenders,
Okay.
okay? All right, any other questions?
Has all 5 counties went in on this?
Yes, my understanding, they're all in agreement.
That's my understanding too, Commissioner.
Okay, I had seen where, and that may not be this fund, where Elbert County,
I think that's the assistant DA position.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thinking about.
That's correct.
okay.
All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. 5 vote for that. Now we're talking about a proposal revision to the manufactured home ordinance, and Mr. Martin, you do such a good job explaining things to us. Would you please explain the proposed revision to the manufactured home ordinance, or take the lead on that?
Yes, sir. Let me, first of all, give you a little background of what's bringing these revisions to the forefront tonight. We have 2 classifications of mobile homes, basically in Franklin County. We have mobile homes that are homesteaded, owned by the person who owns the real estate as their primary residence, and they're built separately from the way the pre-bills are. Now, we have
This pre-bill is the second one?
Yes. We have 1,888 mobile homes that's built with the real property, meaning that the person who owns the real estate owns the home. Our collection rate for those is 99.7%. So if they own the property, we go through the levy process and get paid, basically, through having the 3 tax sales that we have on an annual basis. We have one coming up July 1st. Then we have mobile homes that's owned by someone who doesn't own the property. And those are a little more problematic. First of all, they're mobile homes. And I think Rick will tell you, he'd be the first to tell you that over the years, 10 years ago, the mobile home digest was a mess. If the mobile home was on digest, the person might own it, might not. It might be double billed. It could be billed with the real estate. It could be a double billing situation. There were a lot of errors. Our assessor's office has cleaned that up. We're to a point now that I feel very good about what's on the digest. If it's on there, you go out and you can find the home. Those are harder to collect. We could go through the levy process and attempt to collect the taxes on those homes, but then you're selling the home on the courthouse steps. When you sell a piece of personal property at a tax sale, that sale is official and final. In other words, when we sell a piece of real estate for delinquent taxes, the delinquent taxpayer has 1 year to come forth, pay the person who bought the property a 20% premium, and they deed the property back. A mobile home sale is final. It's like you go to the magistrate court, you get an eviction notice, you put them out, and you move it. And that in itself is problematic. Usually, the homes that are delinquent are the older homes. And when you sell those things, you gotta move them. And if you're leaving one location, they gotta go to another one. You got the problem of that happening. Is it going to fall apart in the road? Is it capable of being moved?
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues surrounding that. The law provides, and it's something we've never done, but the law provides a different way of collecting these taxes without selling the home, which I think is less traumatic on the delinquent taxpayer. The law requires us, every year, when those taxes are paid, we issue a decal, similar to this one. It has the tax year, the decal number, some identifying information. By the way, so these are, it's determined by the state each year, because how they're going to look. So we issue these when pre-bill mobile homes paid. The law requires, under the Georgia Code, that these are to be displayed on the home. So that if a county officer goes by to see if the decal is displayed, it's readily visible. You can tell that it's there. The law also provides that if it's not displayed, they can be issued a citation for failure to display the location permit. When that happens, they have to come before the magistrate judge and answer those charges. There is some citations, there's some fines that goes along with that. We're at a point where the stars have all kind of aligned. We have a magistrate judge who says he's ready to help us with this enforcement. I've talked to county staff. I think perhaps we have some personnel on the county staff that will be able to go out and maybe issue these citations to help us get to where we need to be. This is going on in Stevens County right now. Back in May, toward the end of May, I had Dean Hicks, who was the Stevens County Tax Commissioner, come down. She met with myself and John and Rick and Judge Grizzle, County Marshal, and we talked this thing through and tried to figure out what can we do to make this process work in Franklin County. And we knew at that point, for it to work, we had to revise our mobile home ordinance. And John has worked very hard on this issue, on these revisions. I have chimed in a couple of times, and I think Rick has, and probably Judge Grizzle, but he has done the footwork, and I appreciate the effort that John has put forward. But basically, what this revision, these revisions do is put some teeth in this state statute that says you have to display the decal. Failure to display the decal leads to a citation and a fine. Just so that you know, and I want you to be aware of kind of the numbers that are going on here. I told you earlier that we got about 1,533 in pre-bill. Of that 1,533, we're at about 85% collection rate on those. So you have somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 homes that are delinquent. And we feel like this process will clean that up. And we can come back in a year or so and tell you that the pre-bill mobile home collection rate is equal to the homestead mobile home collection rate, which is 99% plus. So we feel like this would really benefit us in that area. Now, in the revisions, it transfers one additional thing to my office. The permit to transport a home is currently issued from the county commissioner's office. The revisions that are in this ordinance would move that to my office. And before those homes will move from one location to another, we can make sure all taxes are paid. I think it also, and Rick, you certainly chime in. I mean, your name is, you're on here as well. Rick's staff has recently been out and inspected all pre-bill mobile homes to determine who's displaying decals and who's not. We don't want to overwhelm the court, and we don't want to overwhelm the person who's out there writing citations. We can get a pen at a time and go forward. Perhaps the ones that have the most delinquencies and not overload the court or overload any department. But if we start moving forward on that, I feel like we get where we need to be, which is fair and equitable to everybody, because if you owe the taxes, you ought to be paid. Let's just put some teeth in it without us selling the mobile home at the courthouse step.
Do you know what those numbers add up to approximately, Robbie?
that 15% that's not collected, is it 50,000 or any
I
idea?
don't have the exact number, David. I would say, if you, and I did have that, when we got a meeting, you guys may remember what, I think if you add all 7 years, the statute of limitations together, it's somewhere less than 100,000 per, So we're not talking about a tremendous amount of money, but to be fair and equitable to those people who are paying their taxes, we need to make sure everyone's paying their taxes. And so I would certainly appreciate anything you guys can do as far as approval of these revisions.
And you said there was about 1,800, how many homesteaded?
There's 1,888 that are homesteaded.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. That's a good report. Discussion.
My concern, and maybe Jimmy can, this won't cause any undue burden on the sheriff's office or,
From the discussions we had in our meeting, it's my belief that it's probably John's, probably thinking about county marshal being the county officer who issues these citations.
And basically what we're looking for, is, as Bobby said, Rick really has a pretty good handle on where these homes are that aren't displayed. And so basically what we're looking to do.
And we are the ones that originally checked for decals. We're supposed to do that. So we will do that. They will give a report to Bobby and whoever the officer is at the Golf Point. We'll get them a report of who's not displayed.
Are they updated and reissued annually?
Yes. So if they're not paid, then.
The only way you can get the decal is to pay the taxes.
Right, so we got people who haven't, we got 15% of the people who haven't paid over how long of a period?
We got approximately 15% of the pre-built mobile homes that are currently unpaid. That can be for 1 year, which was due this year on May the 1st, or it could be for multiple years. I just run the report for 2014. Mobile homes are billed, we send out the bills in January, and they're due May 1st. So, we're not too far beyond that due date. Now, we have issued intent to 5-pay letters. You got to give people 30 days notice before you record a 5-pay or a tax execution in their name. That expires on July 1st, so we will be issuing 5-pays shortly thereafter. Our debt is secured. The people who have not paid owes the penalty and interest that's associated with paying late. And I talked to other tax commissioners in our area. I asked Ms. Hicks at our meeting, she came too, she's never sold a mobile home. Most tax commissioners don't sell mobile homes, but the law has provided this step in the process to help us collect those taxes short of selling the home on the courthouse steps.
well, I mean, I can see where it can be an easier avenue. My concern again, will there be any involvement in the sheriff's office whatsoever?
I would assume if it got to the point that a bench warrant was issued for failure to appear before the magistrate court, that would probably be handled by the sheriff's office.
I think what he's talking about is when they do issue the citations and you're gonna open up court, you're gonna have the judge sitting on the bench, he's probably gonna ask for courtroom security, I would think, but I don't know.
And how will that affect our court system?
I think they already have it anyway.
Right, what we would look for is they would be cited to appear before the magistrate judge at his next court time. So,
But then after that, what happens if they don't pay?
Well, then they issue a bench warrant, I would probably say at that point, if he doesn't show up, it's just like any other proceeding.
I just want to make sure that the ends, means justifies the ends. I don't want to put any more, I mean, that's my only concern. I think it's a great way, I think it's a very good way, but I don't want to, in a year's time say, well, we're going to need some more this, or we need to hire somebody else because we've got these court cases coming in and we're issuing bench warrants. I just don't want that to happen.
Well, the ordinance calls for a fine, it's a misdemeanor, a fine not less than $25 nor more than $200. It get into a situation where somebody just tells us they're gonna fail to pay, then we could, Commissioner Hall could go to the next step, and that's where you do take it to the courthouse, and you actually sell that home and sell it to somebody who will pay the taxes. I don't think it's gonna overload the court system. I don't see that happening. When we talked to Commissioner Hicks from Stevens County, that's not what happened there. When these cases come up before the magistrate judge, I expect to be in court that day, trying to work out a minimal agreement with the delinquent taxpayer so that we're not in the business of trying to put anybody under something they can't handle.
but-
We would be glad to work out a payment agreement negotiation with them, but we gotta get them to come to the table.
Theoretically, somebody could go to jail for not paying their taxes.
No, somebody could go to jail for not displaying a permit.
That they have to pay their taxes to receive.
That is correct.
So theoretically, somebody could go to jail for not paying their taxes. That kind of bothers me.
Well, the fine is $25 or $200.
Plus taxes, plus they have to pay their taxes.
If you've got a mobile home, and
Well,
you're
I'm-
using it for a storage, you have to have one of those on it too?
Yes. But if it's used for storage, typically it's a lesser value home than one that's livable. And the assessor's
There's
office
some
places a lower
that they use them for storage and they're not, and I'm not putting them down, but they're not, thing ain't worth living in, you know what I'm saying?
And those have a very low property value.
But it's just like if you got a shed out there, though, every building you got on your property has some type of is that not correct?
Yes, sir.
If you have tax on whatever shed, I mean, if it's one of those that you get over there, $1,500 at Home Depot, you got to pay something. I don't care if it's $25.
But I mean, my quandary is, somebody just don't have anything. And they're keeping their head above water. They could essentially go to jail, not lose their home, but go to jail for, that bothers me. Maybe it shouldn't, it does.
But most people that live in a mobile home know that they're supposed to have that sticker on there.
They do. We say,
I can't picture anybody saying, I didn't know I had to have that.
But what if you can't?
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, then you can apply for subsidies for ninth district. There's all kind of things out there.
There's not any paid property taxes.
Well, you're talking about assistance for living or whatever, and if that could help them pay that, then that free up 25, because I know I've got one of those on mine, that costs $49.50 for a trailer that's 1990s.
Well, the one aspect is that, I don't think anybody in here likes or relishes property taxes, but when you have any segment, individual, any properties that don't pay, that is shared amongst the others that do pay.
I realized a long time ago that I was elected to collect property taxes. If I fail in my job, then everybody else has to pay more in the form of millage rate to make up the difference for those people who do not pay. And I stand here today and tell you that our collection rate is super. For prior years, we're 99% and better. For 13, we're 98% and a fraction above that. We do that through a series of sending letters back to back, having tax sales, and making sure everyone pays. I think you guys appreciate that. Your financial situation would be much dire condition if we didn't collect the taxes in the tax commissioner's office. We just need some little motivational factor here to get people to the table. And like I said earlier, if they will come to that table and work with us, and we can work on some payment agreement that will help them get to where they need to be, that's what we'll do. We don't want to see anybody go to jail for not paying their taxes. We just want them to come to the table. And I think this is, the state law provides for this. Most counties do it.
But streamlines the process in the vast majority of cases.
Correct.
From what I can
And it would, and I think we've got the best tax commissioner's office in the state, but wow, the possibility of having a bench warrant issued and going to jail because you didn't essentially pay your taxes.
Well, that's how Al Capone was on Saturday.
Well, gentlemen, you got some time.
Yeah.
We don't vote on that.
That's something to think about, that's for sure.
Something to vote on.
Glad you brought that point up, so I'm happy to
And
know.
also,
Thank you about that.
you know, we will make sure our attorney, county attorney, is clear that we changing the ordinance and we within the law. And commend tax commissioner's office and our appraiser's office for doing that, because it is important for everybody to, you know, it means more taxes for the ones that did pay if we let some slide.
Could I ask you one question about it? Let's say say that they didn't appear with Judge Griswold, instead of issuing a bench warrant, could he just issue where that property is sold?
Well, then we're back to square one.
And then it's sold in the courthouse square?
In what?
That's the process
That's what we
anyway.
want to avoid.
Well, it's going over to the,
That's the process anyway.
What we've been told by counties that are using this process is very effective and it works. If we did have the hard case where somebody just defied that, then yes, we certainly have the option to take that property to a tax sale. I don't think that's something that the court would order. That's something a decision we can make in the tax commissioner's office. But I don't think that will happen, gentlemen. And Rick will tell you, and I think John will, and I quizzed the Stevens County Tax Commissioner during our meeting. Their collection rate is super based on this process. And remember, she's never had to sell a mobile home. And I believe she told us nobody had gone to jail for this process. They just come to the magistrate judge's office.
I mean, I can see where it's a great process, but, you know, can there be any provision where, you know, that somebody wouldn't have to go to jail if, you know, well, that's my only holdup in this, because, I mean, if you have somebody that's just, that is living on subsidies, that just can't do it.
Commissioner Humphrey, if that person comes
And I know that would probably never happen, but it could.
If that person comes to us, we will work with them for the resolution to clear their delinquency without going to jail. I don't think Judge Griswold would send people to jail for not paying their taxes. He might send them to jail for failure to appear before his court.
Right.
But if we can get them to the table, we can work out an agreement short of them going to jail for not splitting it. We're not cold-hearted here. We're just trying to have another collection to it.
Good point, good point. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. I believe we'll need to be ready to act upon that in July.
Can we comment on that? Are we able to comment?
Go ahead, make a comment. Yes, ma'am, make a comment.
It sounds like we're on a slippery slope here. It's like, it goes back to the old English debtor's prison. Now, if we do this to mobile homes, if I don't pay my taxes on my home, you take my home and you sell it. Now, if I owned a mobile home, and I don't own the property it lives on, it's on, and I don't pay the taxes, why shouldn't you take my property instead of taking me to court to put me in jail? That doesn't make any sense.
you may
I
not own the
know it
property.
might fall apart on the road.
You might not own the property.
I'm sorry.
A lot of properties is not owned that way.
I said if
Ms. Margaret can answer that question.
I can attempt to answer that question. We have in recent times, the last tax sale, that real estate would not sell because there's nobody there to bid on it.
Okay.
I would contend that if you're selling mobile homes, there's not going to be anybody there to buy it.
Oh, I agree with you, but you're taking the action to go to that person and say, now, there's a double standard, that's what I'm saying.
The law
If
requires,
I own a home in this county and I don't pay my taxes, you take my home and you get rid of it.
the law, Georgia law requires you to display this on your mobile home.
I know
Okay.
about that.
Georgia law also requires you to display a tag on your automobile. You get that tag when you pay your taxes. if you don't pay your taxes and get your tag on your automobile, these gentlemen will take you to jail for not having paid your taxes on your car. So,
I know the next time you come before us, you'll say, if you don't pay your taxes on your home, we're gonna, and if I can't sell it, you're gonna go to jail. That's where you're headed. And I'm just throwing the warning sign up. People, listen to what's happening.
Well, I think it's a good process. I think it's a very good process, and I can see why we would want to do that, but there's got to be some provision in my mind where somebody hypothetically couldn't go to jail for not paying their taxes, and I would feel really good about that. But, you know, I don't know. I know that would probably never happen. I do know the remote possibility, but you just never know.
Okay.
I'll have to think about,
Give it some
understand more
thought.
about
You got
it.
some time? Give it some thought.
Yeah.
Decide what direction to go. We appreciate the hard work that the tax commissioner and treasurer's office.
And I do stand by, I think we got the best tax commissioner's office in the state, if not the nation.
Yeah.
Now, we do need to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to advertise the digest number. And we need to take a vote on that in order that we can get it out in the paper and on a good timetable. So what I'm asking for is if I have a motion that we advertise the digest number that the tax commissioner has. Got a motion by Commissioner Strickland.
Second. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Jakes, seconds that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. 5-0 vote. That can be done, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Now, the next item on this is the county manager report. We asked the county manager if he would give us an update on roads and what have you. So at this time, Ms. Fuller?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of projects that you all had asked about. One is the Sheriff Road. The installation of the concrete box culvert is complete there, and the county staff has also completed their backfill and grassing work on that project. We had a couple of LMIG projects for this year. As you know, we had the asphalt resurfacing project. The resurfacing has been completed on those roads, which is actually Wolf Den Road, Telford Road, Diamond Lane, Beasley Road, and Riverbend Road, Livonia. The striping and shoulder building will be completed by the contractor over the next few weeks. For the 2014 LMIG double surface treatment resurfacing project, all the patching work has been completed on those roads, and the resurfacing is scheduled to begin, weather allowing, within the next couple of weeks. And as you know, there were 6 roads on that project: Shirley Road, Farmers Bridge Road, Farmers Academy Road, Greater Hope Road, a portion of Pleasant Hill Road, and Brays Lake Road. Then on our off-system safety improvement project, which as you know is funded through federal funds, we had a total of 23 roads on that project, and I've included in your package sort of a status as to where those projects are. That project consists of striping and sign work, and if you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you have there. But that gives you sort of a summary as to where that project is. Just a couple of other projects other than roadway projects. As you stated earlier, the conversion is essentially complete on our computer software. We're finally back on it to where we can get some good information as far as our finances and everything that's taking place there. We do feel like that with the start of this fiscal year, we'll be able to generate those reports monthly so that we can have that information. And then also on the website, we've gotten very good feedback from all the departments in the county on the website. We've got a lot of information in, and work is underway on the development of the website. And we're actually hoping that we'll have something for you all to look at here over the next month and a half or so.
Sounds like a good report. Sounds like it's coming along real well on these projects. That's the end of our agenda. We stand adjourned.
May I be allowed to